been a hot minute. Last year was so crazy. It definitely didn't read as much as I wanted to, but I read some. It wasn't my worst year, truly. I wanted to share with you my favorite books of 2020. So let's talk about books. I want to start off with Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I just discovered this author in 2019 when I read The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, and I absolutely loved that book. And I was really nervous about getting into Daisy Jones because I knew it was very beloved by the community, and that's always very scary. But I get the hype. It's set in the 70s, and we follow the creation, the rise, and the fall of a huge band. So we follow all of the bandmates, and it's set in a sort of like documentary type of way. I wasn't sure that I was gonna love that kind of writing style, but I actually didn't mind it. It has very Fleetwood Mac kind of vibes, and that's one of my favorite bands of all time. I really love the characters, especially the women. I think Taylor has a very good way of describing and creating these women that are very similar to what we see every day. Like, there's always this type of women that we see constantly in books and in movies and every type of art, but Taylor has an amazing way of really separating these characters that she creates into the types of women that we don't get to see as often. All of the female characters in Daisy Jones were very complex and real and absolutely legendary, so I just couldn't stop reading because of them. Because of the creation of one of their albums, we have this sort of lyrics book at the end of the book, and the lyrics are amazing. I can't wait to see the show that's coming soon, hopefully, and just listen to what the music of Daisy Jones and the Six is gonna sound like. So I highly recommend it if you like complex female characters, and I hope you do. It might not be for everyone because of the documentary type of style and the way it's created. It's all in interviews, just like Evelyn Hugo was. It was amazing. I absolutely loved it, and I totally get the hype. Another book that I read that I can't believe that it took me so long to get into is The Hating Game by Sally Thorne. Listen, I started reading this book because I knew it was going to be a movie, and I'm that kind of pal that really wants to get into the book before the movie comes out, just so I can judge everything that happens and I can say, oh, that's different, I'm that annoying. But I had heard so many amazing things. Everyone was talking about, oh yeah, I love Josh and Lucy, blah blah blah, and I was like, oh, I have to read that one, and it was in the back of my mind all the time. It's the type of books that really gets you out of a slump. And last year I needed so many of those, because every time I picked up a book, like a serious fantasy book, I was in the worst slump of my life because of, anxiety and the pandemic. So I was really hoping to read more of these books. So The Hating Game was chef's kiss. It got me from the beginning because they describe Josh, the main romantic interest, as Superman, and I'm a whore for Henry Cavill. That man. We follow Josh and Lucy, who are rivals, and they work at the same company that merged together. It's a book company, and they work for a company that merged together, so they both have different bosses, and they are constantly competing with each other. And it all changes when Joshua decides to do some stuff with Lucy. It all works up to this competition. So the merger caused to have two bosses, so they need one of them to fill a position. So they're competing against each other to get that position, and it's all kinds of amazing. It's the best kind of mix of rivals to lovers and a friendship that gets in the way, and tough guy that thinks he's not a good guy, but he actually kind of is. It's just the best. I wish I'd had it in my life sooner. Definitely. Another amazing contemporary romantic kind of book that I read was Beach Read by Emily Henry. So we follow January, who is a writer that's just in the worst writing block of her life. She needs to write a new book and she's totally freaked out because she just can't think of anything because she just stopped believing in love. Her father recently passed out and she's tasked with having to sell his beach house that he had. She goes back to the house to get everything in order to sell the house, and she stumbles upon her college rival Augustus, who is actually too a writer. I thought my love for guys named Augustus was over. Like I don't even, at this point, I don't even really like Augustus from The Fault in Our Stars that much. I think I like the idea of him, the person I was when I loved him. But let me tell you that this Gus, it's worth hype. They both have to write a book and they're not sure how to do it. So they make this kind of challenge where they have to write what each other's genre is. So Augustus writes these kind of books that are really real life-ish, thrillers and mystery, but it's very real everything, and very raw of how human beings are the worst, which, yeah. January is a rom-com writer, which we love, and she's all about the meet cutes and everything, and they teach each other their different types of, like, how they get into the mindset to write, how they go around going with the plots and the outlines and everything. So it's very interesting if you're a writer to learn about how this writer writes about a character that writes. So that was very interesting for me because I'm a writer, and it was fun to read about that, about something that you kind of relate to. Augustus is the kind of bad boy that we wish we had in life, in real life, and I absolutely love that for him and for January. They really meshed together, they really mixed together very well, and I absolutely loved it. Like, so really, please pick it up. It's amazing. I think it's a new release, like it just came out last year, so what are you waiting for? It's right there. It's right there. Continuing on with the rom-com kind of deal, you know, rivals to lovers stuff, I've read The Worst Best Man by Mia Sosa. So we follow Carolina Santos, who is a wedding planner, and she's working towards this amazing job with a hotel, a partnership with a hotel. And to make this job interesting, she gets partnered with her ex-fiance's brother, who was the reason that the wedding never happened. She absolutely hates him, and he feels sorry for what happened, and he wants to explain himself, and he kind of wants to prove himself to his father that he is not a lesser version of his brother. What I loved the most about this book is that we don't really get to see much Brazilian representation, especially Black Brazilian representation. It's just overall, Black Latinos don't get that many rep. And Carolina is Black and she's Brazilian too. And just reading about Brazilian culture and dishes, oh my god, the dishes. And just all these amazing facts about the culture. It was a very interesting book, and it was so much fun. It was so funny, and we had there was only one bed, if you're into that. It was very sexy, very hot, very cute and romantic. And I love that Carolina is a very hardworking woman, and she works really hard for what she wants in life, and we just get to see a lot of this, and that was absolutely amazing. I absolutely loved the book, and I said that I think about every book that I absolutely love them, but I really did. If you are in the mood for some rivals to lovers, I just gave you so many options. You don't have an excuse. You don't. Because last year was so chaotic, I was not really in the mood of reading fantasy or really hard books. So I just really stayed in the rom-com lane. But one of the books that really caught my attention since the beginning was The Invisible Life of Adelaroo by B. Schwab. I follow B. Schwab because one of my favorite series of all time is A Darker Shade of Magic, and I think her prose and her way with words, it's uncomparable. And adelaroo was no different. I was really excited about this book, and I really got into it by the way the author really got into explaining what it meant to her. I'm the kind of person who constantly has to take pictures and write notes to remind herself of things that are around her, because I fear that my mind would not be able to just concentrate it all and remember it. So one of my constant fears is forgetting. That's adelaroo's fear too, and it was a book that really struck to my heart, and that really, since the first page, really got my attention. So we follow Adelaroo, who is a girl that was born in the 1700s. That was the longest time ago. And just like us, she really wants to leave a mark on the world. She just can't bear the thought of her life being the simplicity of just marrying and having children. That's not what she wants. She makes a deal with the gods that answer after dark, and she's given sort of immortality in the way that she will not be harmed, she will not be sick, she will not age. But soon she realizes that this bargain that she made is a curse, because everyone she meets forgets her, and everything she touches doesn't leave a mark. Like, no matter what she does, she is not able to leave a mark on the world. There's no way that anyone can remember her. So we follow Addie in many centuries and lives and experiences, and how she handles this horrible curse of having to run away and constantly be alone. Then something happens. She is in a bookstore, and this boy that she meets, remembers her. I don't think this book is really about plot. I think it's really more about who you are as a person and how you handle things. The most interesting part is seeing Addie make her way through the world. When I tell you that I did not expect that ending, it's totally one of my favorite books of all time, hands down, and I will cherish it forever. And it really deserves the hype that it's getting. So I really think it's worth a read. So, read it. I'm kind of ashamed of mentioning the last book, because it's not a book, it's a book series. It's 2 book series I had never read. And people are gonna come for my neck, and they should. So in 2020, for the first time ever in my life, I read the Percy Jackson series by Rick Riordan. So I read both Percy Jackson and the Olympians, and I read The Heroes of Olympus. If I had to choose a favorite of each series, I think for the Olympians, it would be between The Battle of the Labyrinth and The Last Olympian. Like, every single book was amazing, but the last 2 were just, they had my heart going really fast. And for The Heroes of Olympus, definitely Mark of Athena. There's nothing that I can compare to Mark of Athena. Amazing. And if I'm saying Athena wrong, I'm not. You are. I don't really want to talk too much about these books, because I want to make a separate video about my experience reading these books for the first time. But I can say that I get it. I get it. And I hate myself too for taking this long to read them, because they would have definitely made my life better. Listen, it's not like I didn't know about Percy Jackson. I knew about Percy Jackson. Of course I did. I don't live under a rock. It's just that I wasn't into it at the time. Like, at the time my friends were reading it, I was more into reading about characters that looked like me, like women, like female characters, and I knew Percy Jackson was about a dude called Percy Jackson. I did watch the movies. Even me, knowing nothing about the books, knew they were trash. They were trash, and you can't tell me otherwise. It's like trying to argue that The Last Airbender was a good movie. It wasn't. I do more love Lerman as Percy Jackson because that was top casting. Top casting. I would definitely talk more about my thoughts and opinions and everything about the Percy Jackson series on another video because I have so many thoughts and things and I want to tell you because this is my first time experiencing it and letting it all out. So just be around for that. So these were my favorite books of 2020. There weren't that many. I only read 25 books last year, so we're doing what we can. Like the video, subscribe, and hit the bell button if you liked it and if you wanna know more about me and my books and the things that I read. Also, I'm gonna leave you my socials. I'm gonna leave you my Twitter and my Instagram and also my Goodreads. Here I rant, here I post pictures, and here you can see what I'm reading. I mean, you can see what I'm reading in every single one, but I think I'm funny. Tell me about your favorite books of 2020. I know it was a very disastrous year and we're still pretty fucked up. And I want to hear all about your favorite books. I have so many more that I read, but I really wanted to fit just the best of the best. So tell me more. Recommend me books. I really need it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.